What kind of man heals with a touch, commands storms with a word, and gives ordinary people extraordinary authority? This is where faith becomes visible. As the crowds grew, Jesus did not become louder to keep their attention. He became quieter. He began to lead them upward, away from the noise, away from the constant movement, away from the expectations they carried with them. He went up on a mountainside, and those who truly wanted to hear followed him there. He sat down. This was not the posture of a performer. It was the posture of a teacher, of a rabbi, of a king inviting his people close. His disciples came to him, and he opened his mouth and began to teach, not with threats, not with condemnation, but with a blessing. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The words fell gently, yet they carried weight. In a world that praised strength, Jesus honored humility. In a culture that valued status, he lifted the lowly. He spoke to those who knew they were empty and promised them fullness. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Not ignored, not rushed past, comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Not the aggressive, not the ruthless, the meek. As he spoke, something shifted. The kingdom he described did not resemble the kingdoms they knew. This kingdom did not advance through violence or pride, but through surrender and trust. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Jesus did not shame desire. He redirected it. He showed them that longing itself was not wrong. It simply needed the right source. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Here, the measure turned inward. The way you treat others, Jesus was saying, reveals how well you understand grace. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Not perfect hearts, pure ones, undivided ones. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Not peacekeepers who avoid conflict at any cost, but peacemakers who step into brokenness and bring healing. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus did not hide the cost. Following him would not always be safe. It would not always be applauded, but it would always be worth it. As he spoke, he looked at them, not as a crowd, but as individuals. He saw the tired eyes, the burdened hearts, the quiet hope beginning to rise. You are the salt of the earth, he told them. Salt that preserves, salt that brings flavor, salt that makes a difference quietly, from within. You are the light of the world. Not someday, not after perfection. Now, a city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Jesus was not calling them to self-promotion. He was calling them to visible faith that points beyond itself. Then he spoke words that would challenge assumptions. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. He was not lowering the standard. He was completing it. You have heard that it was said, do not murder. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. He moved the focus from actions to hearts, from outward obedience to inward transformation. You have heard it said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks with lust has already committed it in their heart. Jesus was not condemning humanity. He was revealing the depth of our need for grace. He spoke about reconciliation, forgiveness, faithfulness, integrity. He taught them to let their yes be yes, and their no be no. To live with honesty, not performance. You have heard it said, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. This was radical. He spoke of turning the other cheek, of going the extra mile, of responding to injustice not with revenge, but with unexpected grace. Love your enemies, he said. Pray for those who persecute you, because this is how your Father loves. Not selectively, not conditionally, completely. As Jesus spoke, the mountain became more than a place. It became a threshold, a moment where people had to decide whether they wanted a Savior who confirmed their expectations or a king who redefined them. And the invitation still stands. As you listen now, these words are not ancient echoes. They are living truth. They ask the same question today as they did then. What kind of heart are you building? What foundation are you choosing? Jesus ended his teaching with a warning and a promise. Anyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise person who built their house on the rock. The rain came. The streams rose. The winds blew. But the house did not fall. Not because life was easy, but because the foundation was strong. And anyone who hears these words and does not act on them is like a foolish person who built their house on sand. The same storm came. The same wind blew. And everything collapsed. When Jesus finished speaking, the crowds were astonished, not because he entertained them, but because he spoke with authority. And as they descended the mountain, life waited. Brokenness waited. Decisions waited. The question was no longer who Jesus was. The question was who they would become. Subscribe for the next chapter, because the cost of following Jesus becomes clearer from here.